Welcome everyone to today's CALPADS Q A. My name is Gary Gerwer. I'll be your host. Paul is going to be driving for us today. A few announcements. One is, I think it was yesterday, a Flash 227 was put out. That's a kind of a add-on to Flash 226, talking about the certification data discrepancies or CDD updates. Just kind of some strategies for addressing the CDDs is given in there. I also wanted to point out at the end of the second page, there's a part that talks about, as previously stated, the CDE continues to assess LAA progress and will adjust the certification deadline as necessary to ensure that LAAs are able to submit and certify quality data. And that the CDE is going to provide another update letter to the superintendent. So just so we don't have to ask that question. And then at the bottom of this document is a table of CDDs that you can use. These are the opposite of the ones of the 226, which are known issue ones. These are ones that you can work on while we're waiting for the other ones to be fixed. And along with the 226 errors, the user manual has now been updated so that when you go to the known issues, you'll see on the left there, you can look at this Flash 226 CDD defects as well as the known issues. So they're all in one place now, so you don't have to go back and forth between two different documents. So if you do get these errors, you can check the known issues or the CDD from Flash 226 and know that they're already being worked on, and just kind of put those to the side and look at the ones that are in Flash 227 as possible ones that you can work on. I think that's all I have. Angela, did you want to talk about anything with the updates yesterday?
So yeah, release went in and the fixes on that list are current and up to date. I don't have a list of things coming for the next release on Tuesday, primarily because they are devoted to that table at the bottom of this list, that one there. That's what all the test and developers are working on right now.
And we continue to add new defects as we come across them. Seems like not as many this week as there was last week so far, but it's only Wednesday. So we'll see how it goes. So we'll go ahead and get started with the Q&A portion. How this works, if you're new, we ask that you type your questions into the chat box, and we also ask that you number your questions. A lot of folks ask more than one question, so if you would, please put like Q1, Q2, Q3. That way we can go through all the Q1s first, and most of the time we do have time to get through all the Q1s and Q2s and Q3s. Sometimes folks ask, time permitting, but if we do run out of time, we'll kind of cut it off at 4 o'clock, and then we'll answer all the questions that were asked up until 4 o'clock, and then we'll say, put it in the ticket after that, or wait till the next Q&A. As part of the questions, if you could keep your questions brief and to the point. If it's a specific scenario that might be better suited for a ticket, we would recommend that you just write a ticket. It might not be something that we can work out here without bringing up CalPads and looking things up and doing a lot of research. Also, along those lines, if you do have a ticket in already with your question that you might be thinking about asking here, please don't ask it here. Continue to work through the ticket so that we're not reproducing or wasting time. I don't know if that's the right word, but going over the same question that is already being worked on. So with that, we're going to go ahead and get started. First question is from Denise. And it is the following staff's understanding correct? For students in AB 130 independent study part year and the rest in person, expected attendance days equals expected in-person days plus expected independent study days. For those in IS program for the whole year, expected attendance days equals non-ADA independent study days plus ADA independent study days. At our district, the independent study and in-person enrollments are in the same school, but with different attendance funding categories. In addition to the FAQ, are there additional resources for the independent study staff, preferably with specific examples? Thank you.
So in answer to the question, and Alex can correct me if I'm wrong, but yes, so the total independent study incomplete as well as independent study or ADA generating as well as non-ADA generating independent study days as well as expected in-person days equals the total amount of days that were expected. Does that make sense?
That's how I understand it as well.
Yeah. Yeah. So does that address all of the question? I know it was kind of long.
We do have, she asked about additional resources. There is the file specifications that talks about that, all of the columns that are used to add up. I think there's another place too, but I can't think of it right off the top of my head.
The error list, if you
That's it,
research STAS 0318 and STAS 0588, it addresses invalid total absences and days, but it will detail the expectation and the calculation of absences and days. And STAS 0588 is invalid ADA generating independent study days, and it does the same as well.
Thanks, Nate. So there's a couple places where you'll see how all the columns are added together to equal the total expected days. Next question is from Soraya. What is the status of the SIMF bug that prevents online maintenance editing? We receive an error occurred posting demographic details message when trying to update student demographic information manually. It says fix implemented.
I wasn't familiar with that error. Does that, or that defect, does that ring a bell for anybody else?
Yeah. It doesn't even, when you try to update the record, it doesn't even create a job ID. It just gives you a very generic error message right in the UI screen. Let me try to find.
Is that new? I've been updating demographic records.
A couple weeks ago, maybe.
I think Gary wrote the bug on this. It wasn't demographics. It had to do with
There's one about one of the new CDDs and then
that's I think when you go to correct
453.
Yeah, when you go to correct that CDD, it's a demographic. You try to do it in the online in the demographics, and then it generates just the random error with no error message. But the known issue is related to the CDD that triggers it.
I think it's PM 6225. Is that the one you're talking about? I think.
There it is.
Is it?
I think that's it. So it looks like it's still being worked on.
It's not all student demographic records. It's a particular scenario. Is that your understanding?
Looks like if it's related to the SIM 452.
Oh, that's the NAN one. It had the weird data in the database.
Oh, right. I do remember that one.
Because Gary had that memorable picture when he.
Yeah, I saw Nana. So if Soraya, if it's ready to that, we're still working on it. If it's not, go ahead and submit a ticket, and you can put my name on it, and I'll look into it and see where we're at with that.
And when you just, if you're unfamiliar with the discussion, when you see the student's demographic, instead of a birth date, it'll have like an NAN, almost like it's saying not available or not applicable. If you see that, that's when the error will trigger. Most of you all won't have this problem at all.
Yeah, it was interesting because when we queried the database, it didn't show those records. So I don't know. Okay, next one from Cedric. Can the SSID match process be bumped up in the development queue? I believe it was stated last week that this fixture would not be available until fall. We have to upload our 22-23 enrollments by the end of July so we can get a complete August direct cert file. We have 1,300 SSIDs to obtain, and looking each student up one by one, well, I added one by one, is not feasible.
So we are going to be deploying an SSID matching tool. The hope was to have it implemented by the end of July, but it looks like first week of August is what it's looking like, based on developer availability. And we are putting together some communications about exactly what that will look like. You should also know that yesterday we have a county office user group every 2 months, and we did provide this information to your county office liaison. So Cedric, I can't remember which county you're in, but you may want to check with your county representative, and they could share some baseline information if you want it before the flash comes out.
Okay. Next question from Elsa. And Sora, I see your question too. We'll come back to that. From Elsa, I have SOF 0502, student offense. The student incident ID and academic year combination must match an existing sync incident ID and sync academic year ID combination in ODS for the same student. When I go to online maintenance incident data, the incident is there, same school and year and ID. I don't see the SOF 502 in the known issues. So it doesn't look like there's an issue against it. And you do see the sync record. Well, we may need to take it on this Elsa to investigate a little bit further. Next question from Melissa. Flash 221 stated that shortly after post redesign implementation in the May-June timeframe, CDE was going to build an SSID match processing CALPADS, which would allow LEAs to upload the SCNR file specifically for SSID matching against demographic data in CALPADS ODS. Actually, Randy just talked about that. From Amanda, should we be reporting adult school student graduates, meaning the student left high school, enrolled at an adult school, and have since received a diploma? If yes, then how would we look in CALPADS?
Well, the answer is that yes, you can report adult ed high school diplomas. After it's been received, you would have to create a one-day enrollment and exit them. But I don't know that it's necessarily worth it unless the student was enrolled at a DAS school and the DAS school actually issued the adult ed high school diploma. Because that's the only time that adult ed high school diplomas count, is when they're issued for students enrolled at dashboard alternative school status schools.
Mary Masters asks, do we have a link to the updated version of this, connecting CALPADS to the dashboard 2021 handbook? And then she gets a link to the handbook. I don't know that we do have an updated one from there yet. I know the technical guide is still older.
Yeah, they're going through the process of updating it all right now.
Okay. Carla asks, would it be okay to download the CALPADS staff ODS and upload to my CIS, or are there still issues with the file? Staff ODS, I think that file is okay.
Yeah, the only issues that are remaining with that are the last two fields. They're not consistently populated with the right dates, or they could be null altogether. So it kind of is vendor specific. Some vendors are requiring those fields to be populated, others don't care. So go for it and see what happens.
Diana asks, when posting SPED data, the SSRV records have the 22-23 year assigned instead of the school year when the meeting was held. Is this a bug?
So we typically don't populate that field. That comes from the file itself. So I would check with your vendor. It could be that we rolled over to July 1, 2022, that now it's just automatically using that date. I don't think it causes any problems. Brandy, does it really matter in the SPED file?
Well, it's, I don't think it should cause any issues, except that the way the data discrepancies are currently triggering is on academic year. So I would say no, it's fine, but you know, it may, we may miss some certification data discrepancies because the vendor is using that date. If the meetings were not held on or after July 1st, or the dates associated with that record, if it's not an amendment or a meeting that is on or after July 1st, your vendor should not be using the 22-23 academic year. They should still be using, and we haven't actually even rolled over to the new academic year yet. So it would be nice to know who your vendor is so that we can have that conversation.
Right. And, you know, CalPADS hasn't rolled over, but technically we are in a new academic year.
Yeah, it is true. Yeah.
From Danielle, SCNR update enrollment records are overriding our enrollments in the current year. Is this a CIS issue or a CalPADS issue? Is this how it is supposed to update? We have tested it twice with the same student SCNR. We had a student with a gap in enrollment that returned at the end of the year. When we updated the enrollment, it deleted our early enrollment and replaced it with enrollment at the end of the year. If the operational keys are the same, it would replace the record. So if you're uploading a record to end their enrollment, it would replace that record with the latest record. So that's how it should work. Not sure if I'm getting the question right. Okay, next question from Richard. Merging mids tells me the student does not belong to me unless I start with the SSID my district has assigned the student. Why is it? Merging mids tells me the student does not belong to me unless I start with the SSID my district has assigned the student.
Not sure I understand that question.
I'm not sure I get it. All I can say is whatever the original SSID was, whoever got it, that is the kept SSID, but I'm not sure I understand what's being asked. Richard.
Maybe clarify that a little bit, Richard, see if we can help.
From Doug, post-secondary status errors related. I am encountering the PSTS 0482 errors. These students have records for CTE partnership and SPED, thus causing the errors. For these students, do I just go ahead and delete the non-SPED PSTSE records to resolve the error? Doug, hold off on that. We're going to bring this up. Actually, I've already brought it up with the requirements team. I think we're going to be discussing this in tomorrow's CRIS meeting, or if not, I'm going to walk it on because what's happening is the education, what's that column called, Alex?
program type.
Yeah.
Program type is not part of the logic for the trigger. So we're going to discuss that, whether they should have. And Brandy, this is they have special ed PST records, and now they're adding a CTE record. And when they do that, they're using a code 950 saying not being no contact or whatever that one is. But then the other ones show that they did have some kind of outcome with the SPED record. So they're getting this PSTS 0482 error. So more to come on that, Doug. From Ethan, hi everyone. It has been more than 24 hours since the certification snapshot refresh, and I have files fully posted in the interim. Should I request a manual snapshot refresh through the help desk?
Shouldn't need to do that, Ethan. Last night after the deployment, they did schedule a refresh for everybody in the state, and so that might be why it's taking a little bit longer, depending on where you landed in that queue. So I would say hopefully by the end of today, you should get a new revision.
Okay, from Terry, if a CDD is not listed on the list of CDDs that we can work on, does that mean it is a known issue? I have that don't seem to show up anywhere. Examples, the PSTS 481, 482, and a few SPED CDDs. Well, so the 482 is the one we were just talking about from Doug. Not familiar with the 481. Haven't seen that one yet. I was thinking that all of them were listed either on the known issues of the 226 or not an issue on the 227, but maybe there's more that were missed. I'm not sure.
All of the PSTS 0481s that I've seen have not been system caused, they're actually data caused. And the, let me see here. Yeah, the title of the 481 is kind of misleading. You have to get down into reading the error description as well as the suggested resolution to really understand what it's looking for. Most time it's objecting to the student having a PSTS record. That they're not supposed to have a PSTS record based on their last SENR data. So if you're having trouble with the PSTS 481, please open a service desk ticket and throw my name on it.
Thanks, Paul.
And I do
Also,
see
yeah.
481 on the list of the 227 flash, that it's okay to work on those too.
Oh, great. Okay, from Nancy, do you know when CSIS will post the rest of the bridge trainings into your 1-2 reporting certification and into your 1-4 advanced reporting and cert training? Newbies are starting to come on board at districts and these would be helpful for them.
I believe EOI 4 has been posted as well as 2 and 3. Just EOI 1 is missing in advance, and those should be posted over the next several days.
Thanks, Fly.
They're referring to the LMS, right?
Bridge, yeah.
Oh, Blair.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll get to that too. I guess
Okay.
over by next week we should have something in there.
But
as well.
yeah, but we recommend you guys look at the CSIS channel, and that's accessible to everyone. You don't need to log in, so that can be accessed by everyone.
It kind of
in the
depends
state.
on the use though, right? If Nancy's supporting other LEAs, that she might want to be able to ask about their status from us to make sure that they, her users have gone to training.
All righty. Aja asks, if an error is not listed on Flash 227, CRC 123, which actually that is an issue, known issue, does it mean that we should wait to work on it for now? Are errors on the 227 the only ones that are okay to work on for now? Well, that's a place to start. If they're not a known issue and there's other ones that aren't on the 227, they, go ahead and work on those as well. If they're listed in the known issues or the Flash 226, then, we say hold off on those and work on the ones that aren't marked as a known issue yet. It's not saying that, ones that aren't on there they might become a known issue. As more people work on them, things might be found out, but that's the recommendation.
I just want to clarify that those two flashes, 227 and 226, are specific to the brand new certification data discrepancy errors, the CVDs. The historic traditional cert errors should be fine unless they happen to have a known issue. But so if the prefix on the error is CERT, cert, those should be all fine. So we didn't call those out specifically in the flashes, but.
Good point. From Deborah Reynolds, is charter school, I'm sorry.
Independent study
Independent
charter.
study. I realized that as soon as I read it. Independent study charter school attendance question. We had a student that was hospitalized from the first day of school until December. They were unable to do schoolwork, so they were claimed absent for 4 months. How should we report the attendance? Should this student be reported with an absence summary exemption indicator?
So was the student was in the hospital?
Says hospitalized from the first day of school until December.
And they were unable to complete schoolwork because they were hospitalized. They're clearly not unexcused absences. It is an excused absence. Yeah, I mean, we talked about this several years ago because students with serious medical conditions at one point the accountability office was advising that we tell districts to exclude that time from their expected attendance days. But the state board and our executive branch balked on that. So it would very likely just have to be reported as an excused absence.
Wouldn't the period of enrollment from December, the time they came back, till whenever the end of the school year, need to be reported?
Yes. Yes, but I guess my point is all of it would need to be reported, because in this case, the student wasn't on home hospital because they were not able to actually even complete any schoolwork. They were still enrolled, and they weren't on home hospital. Am I not understanding the question correctly?
That's how it sounds, how it was written. Yeah. They
We
were
had-
hospitalized.
Yeah, we had Flash 148 that talked about students that are in a hospital or
Well,
health facility.
Yeah.
But in that, you're saying that doesn't apply anymore.
Well, no, it does, but if the student is on home hospital instruction, and it doesn't sound like this student actually was, because they were unable to complete it.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
But what I would advise you to do is have your administrators take a look at the flash that Alex just referenced, and check with your legal department to see if potentially, I mean, that flash has more to do with the fact that students that are in a hospital setting should be allowed to remain enrolled in their home schools while they're in the hospital. So if your legal department feels that this student meets that criteria, then you should not include those days in the student's expected attendance days. But I would just advise you to check with your legal before you do that.
All right. And I think Paul posted the link to that flash for you guys. Okay, question from Shelley. My SPED department would like to do the rollover in their system this weekend. How likely is it? Oh, that just reminds me of something. I think it's going to be announced that CalPAD is going to be offline from 6 p.m. Friday to 6 p.m. Saturday to fix the stash issue. Sorry, I didn't mention that at the start. Oh, so with that, my SPED department would like to do the rollover in their system this weekend. How likely is it to have actual data issues mixed in with the invalid over triggering errors? For example, I have 1,899 SPED 082s and SPED 384 errors. Other than looking up each of the 1,899 student individually, is there any way to know if any of them are valid and need to be fixed? Sorry for the long question. Hope this makes sense. All I can say, what I can say is, if it's a known issue, I would hold off and just wait for the issue to be fixed. And then that way, when it's fixed, the numbers should drop significantly. Hopefully all of them are gone, but if it would be only ones left would be the ones that do have a valid error. Because I don't think any of us are recommending going through over 1,000 errors one by one to try to find which ones are valid. There might be a better use of time going over ones that you know are not known issues. From Jerry. Hi, Gary. I have a question regarding the STAS file and reporting an excused absence for an independent-only charter school. In the past, the STAS had a column for days absence excused non-suspension. However, with the changes due to AB 130, the column now is labeled days absence in-person excused non-suspension. Is there a way to report excused absences for independent study, or do we just use this column even though it includes the language of in person?
I don't know if I know how to answer that question. You guys are writing some really long questions today.
I know.
When a student is on independent study, though, isn't there just two options, either generating ADA or non-ADA generating?
Yes,
There's no, you were sick, so I'm going to put you in a different bucket.
correct. It's either, depending on most of you, are on traditional, excuse me, running traditional independent study programs, and it's based on work completed. So how much work in equivalent of days were they expected to complete versus what they actually completed?
So I guess to answer Jerry's question, we wouldn't ever, if the student was only on independent study, we wouldn't expect days absent in person excused to be populated.
Correct. Yes, that's right.
Soraya is following up. It is not on the known issues list or a CDD. The student didn't trigger an error. I first encountered it on June 29th, 2022. I have a ticket open, and she gives the ticket number. So we'll follow up on that.
Yeah, I
Soraya.
appreciate you putting the ticket number in there. And so I did find it. I don't know if you were on the call last week, but we are still kind of digging out from the service desk being offline for 2 days, that and tickets were allowed to be entered, but we couldn't act on them. And so that in combination with introducing the CDDs just created quite a mountain for us. And so we're digging our way out as fast as we can. I found yours. It looks like it's similar to what we pointed out at the top of the call, but I think I'm going to log it as its own bug just in case it is different, because you don't have that weird data in your the NA in your demographic record. So it might be a little bit different. So I'll log that tonight, Soraya.
Thanks, Angela. From Alex, I have a lot of GER 0005 errors for program 122 Title I because we had many students that had a lot of movement towards the end of the year due to ISP. I noticed that my program membership code is 3. Would it be okay for me to mass change the code to 1 instead of 3 to eliminate those errors? Will it eliminate the GER 5 errors, and is it okay to do this? Actually, I don't think CalPADS automatically assigns the program membership code, either eligible or participating based on the code for the program. So you actually can't do that anymore. I think we stopped doing that a couple of years ago.
And this one is a participation code.
Right. So do we have an error on this for that?
But I guess it wouldn't have anything to do with GER 5. I mean,
yeah,
it's
Yeah, GER 5 just sounds like they've exited their students and are now trying to update program data.
yeah, exactly.
The thing is, the error list hasn't been updated to reflect how GER 5 functions. So when you read the error list, it still will reference participation or membership.
So, and Paul, we think that it's likely because of the issue that you pointed out, which is you've already submitted all your exits for your students and you're trying to submit potentially open program participation records rather than, I mean, would they not get a GER 5 if they added an end date to the program that was the date the students exited?
yeah, go ahead, Paul.
I think that's the problem we're running into, even with the, I think it's with most of the participating records, not the eligible ones. And I know that we had discussed auto closing, but I don't know the current status of auto closing functionality. And the GER 5 SPRG flavors that I've dealt with have all been, they uploaded their SCNR data to get rid of the students or to exit the students. And then they're going through and updating SINF and SPRG and this and that. And they're just running into all the GER 5s on the exited students.
And this is it's a defect or a known issue?
Negative.
No, it's not. Okay.
Okay. So question from Rebecca. Do you happen to recall if anyone mentioned that they have a mid that they flagged as different, then CalPADS ended up merging it instead, even though you can see it was flagged as different?
I have not seen that.
Okay, so we might need a ticket on that one, Rebecca. It's from Chuck. I have fatal errors in CCD CSIS 490, and it is stating that verify that the incident result authority code is populated when using the incident result code of 100, 110, or 200. Because the field was populated correctly, I have contacted our CIS, and they stated they were told the field should not be populated for SPED students with a 100 suspension. Has something changed?
literally the opposite of that, right, Brandy? Just
So the
authority
incident
code,
is required for students with disabilities.
correct. And that's not new. That was there last year.
Oh, Cedric was saying he's from Contra Costa County.
Ah, yeah, you do have a county liaison. If you give me a sec, I will type it in the chat and tell you who it is.
Okay.
I don't know if they were there. That's the only thing. I can't tell you if they were at the meeting, but they were sent the materials. I can tell you that much.
Okay, from Nathan, I just took over this desk. In certification details, revision status, could you please explain the options in review uncertified, revise uncertified, and the checkbox to select this option to change this revision to revised uncertified?
Is it all right if I use ABCs?
Yeah, it's actually in the user manual. So let's teach Nathan how to do that. So Nathan, in the left-hand nav in CalPads, let's go back from the get. I'll go to CalPads. Left-hand navigation, you're going to go to help and user manual. And I believe I typed in review. Yeah, there it is. And I believe we even have some videos in there for you. I'll put that in chat for you, Nathan. I would say that's as a newbie, I'd probably stay away from that. It's a little bit more of an advanced user feature, so you get more comfortable with CalPads, but it does allow you to have more than one snapshot revision going at a time based on your selections.
From Chuck, just an FYI, if you combine all end of years, we have 18,438 fatal errors. 18,212 are CalPads issues that we cannot resolve. This is scary. Of the 226 that we can resolve, we should be around 100 by next week. Okay.
That's good. Can you imagine what LA Unified is facing?
From Carmen, do you know how we can find the name and contact info for our county liaison? Contra Costa? Oh, this is Carmen, she wants to know who her county liaison is.
Oh, and which county?
Well, she's from Making Waves Academy.
that narrows it down. If you could just tell me who your county liaison is, or which county your charter.
She says who our county liaison, and she put Contra Costa in a question mark.
They're in Contra Costa.
Okay, then it's the same. I put in Contra Costa for Cedric as well, and it's Karen Kratoria and Shannon Ortland. I did list it in a little further down in the chat.
Okay. From Catherine, when I ran my STAS file, it skipped pre-enrolled students' attendance in the past school. I have corrected this, and I am showing a CDD error, Cert 128, missing absence summary data for the student. Would I need to upload a new STAS file or correct the error in the student information?
Oh boy. So that sounds like it's happening on your 2022, 22, 23 enrollments.
Oh yeah, the pre-enrolled students.
In the past school. I don't know what past school means.
Yeah, I don't know what that means.
Can you clarify, Catherine, if that you're getting Cert 128 on kids that are enrolled after July 1, 2022? Oh no, she says 21, 22 enrollments.
I don't think we have a known issue on Cert 128.
The first part of her question is confusing me.
Would it be that NPS enrollment that we had yesterday?
Well, if it's past school, it could be simply that the STAS was extracted and uploaded into CalPads with the current enrollment. She went in and manually fixed any student that transferred within her district, since every school has to have a STAS record. And the way I think it is, she's waiting on a revision. If she's looking at her CDDs, she's corrected the errors, but there's still CDDs, so she has to wait.
Oh, good catch, Nate. So yeah, Catherine, go to your certification status screen and check the revision date and time. And it's possible you're kind of in Ethan's shoes where it's been over 24 hours and you haven't got a new revision yet.
Hers is dated 7/12 at 8 a.m.
The 12, yes.
Oh, yesterday morning. Yeah.
If you did it after that, it's not in your revision just yet. So hang tight. Like I said, they had to schedule a revision for all LEAs in the state, which is, I think we're up to like 1,800 now.
Nancy has a question. I see in Flash 227 under end of year 1, there is a SCSC 0140 and 141, but I have 307 errors in both for my special ed high school. The students are given grades, but no credits attempted or credits earned. They will be receiving special education certificates when they graduate. How do I fix these fatal errors?
Okay, so just remind me of what 140 and 141 are.
Missing
missing
student credits attempted, but they say they don't have credit attempted or earned.
Oh, you know what? I think I saw this in an email. What I was trying to figure out is whether or not credits earned and credits attempted are required in the course completion file.
On the error description, it says that it's required for all departmentalized courses for grades through grades 9 through 12.
Okay, and so is it, I was trying to think, so grades may not be required, but credits are.
Or
There is a, Nancy, I mean, I think in this case, and I don't know if this would work, Angela, and you guys may know if this will error out, but what if you just put 0 credits earned, 0 credits attempted?
I'm looking at the specifications, and it says it will trigger if it is null. It doesn't say it'll trigger if it's 0.
Yeah, I would try and put zeros in there.
from Roger, problem 6230 does not mention another issue with the course 0274 error, which is this. When you click the show button, the SSID column contains seeds and the seed column is blank. When you click on the seeds in the SSID column, the link takes you to the student detail screen, which says no student found. Roger, we did note that in the VSO ticket that the SSID column has seeds in it and it needs to be moved over. And there's another defect as well. I can't remember which one off the top of my head where the same action is happening. So they just put the seeds in the wrong column. So they should be addressing that when they get those issues resolved. Nancy's just saying, and Rebecca are both talking about the downtime for this Friday and Saturday, from Friday at 6 p.m. to Saturday at 6 p.m. There should be a notification. I'm not sure, Angela, is this 100% sure they're doing this?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, and I'm with you, Rebecca. That's what I said. A forced break. We don't have to work this weekend.
Angela asks, are there any updates regarding the CDDs when CDEs will show up on the downloadable certification error report? For example, I just pulled an error report for EOI4, but only the cert errors appear, not the CDDs.
Yeah, I was hoping that one would have gone in yesterday, but it didn't make it. So next target would be this coming Tuesday. We do understand that people are really anxious to get that. So coming soon. And
Angela, I'm not sure if this was fixed or not, but I did write up a bug on the 1.0 error, cert error report where it's not showing all the fatal and warning cert errors. So if you go to your certification screen, you'll see a bunch of fatals and warnings, but they're not all being listed. The regular cert errors are not being listed.
It's assigned to the same developer and
okay.
With the same target release of Tuesday.
Okay. From Derek, for 6052, mid-merge lost SNR data. Should we wait for the available fix to bring back SNR records, or should we repost the enrollments manually?
What's the timestamp on that one?
337, 6052, mid-merge lost data. It says fix available.
Okay, Derek, I think I have your ticket. So 2 things going on with that one. 3 things. There was the original bug that caused the mid-merge in some instances not to pull all of the data together. So we lost data. So that was fixed, I want to say early May. And then there was part 2 of the fix, which was to go clean up that lost data, so recover it. That ran a week ago Saturday. part 3 is we're finding there's a handful of students that didn't get corrected, and so that's a new issue. So it sounds like your student didn't get caught in the first round of that fix, Derek. So unless you have some urgent need for that to go have that data all compiled back together, I would just wait. You know, our DBAs can fix that for you. So it is coming.
At 3:37, Nancy put in her ticket number. Not sure what that was in regards to.
I think that was the credits attempted, credits received.
Oh, okay.
credits
Thanks,
charged.
Alex.
Oh,
You
it
did
is
answer
assigned
that.
to you, Brandy. That's where you saw it. I sent it.
Oh.
I lobbed it over to you just because we're
Swan.
like
Yeah,
we're
yeah,
like
I
in
did.
the boat with it's got the holes in it and it's sinking, and we've got the buckets
yeah.
out.
I totally get it. Okay, yeah, you know what, and I can respond to hopefully, but again, I would try putting 0 credits in there and see what happens, but I'll respond in writing as well.
Wendy asks, are there any end of year files that we should still refrain from uploading? None that I know of. You should give them all a try. Okay, so Catherine at the end says, I don't think my question came out clearly. The original error was in my first STAS upload. The students had been enrolled in 2 different schools in the 2021-22 school year. The errors I received were shown in the CDD error code already, as the STAS report only showed the most recent school's attendance. My question is how to correct this information, as it was not sent to CalPADS in the first STAS upload. I hope this helps clarify. Catherine, you may want to submit a ticket for this and let us just kind of work one-on-one and try to answer your question for that one. Okay, so it's 3:55. There were a number of question 2s. I'm going to go back up to the question 2s and we'll try to get through those. First question 2 is from Soraya. May you explain the error we are receiving when trying to create an RFEP record with the date of 8/15/2022? It states the validation errors, English language acquisition status start date, value 8/15/2022, English language acquisition status start date is greater than the current system date. It sounds to me like you can't put in RFEP, a future RFEP date.
Yeah, no, you can't do that. It has to be on or before the current date.
Next Q2 is from Richard at 3:19. Why not get rid of the academic year anyways? Everything must fit within enrollment dates.
Well, the academic year gives us a specific bounded window that we can say that all dates have to occur within. So it's an added boundary layer to make sure that we're not populating outside of what we expect. You know, that data entry errors happen all the time. And, you know, it's just the way it is. You know, we live in an information society, but that information has to get in somehow. If it goes in incorrectly, having the academic year boundaries also helps us enforce those date boundaries.
Thanks, Paul. Rebecca, question 2 at 3:22. Is there a reason why private school students aren't allowed to use the E155 exit code when they are returning from one year to the next? We received the error in our CSIS Power School that a non-ADA enrollment status of 50 could not have this exit code, and only the E170 exit code is allowed.
It's because it's that E155 can only be used with primary and short-term enrollment statuses. It can't be used with enrollment status 50, period.
Question 2 from Terry. We have a new data person who needs training on how to get SSIDs. Is there a new training for this with best practices that includes processing SSID request files after the post redevelopment? I think we have that.
There are videos
In the user manual, under what's new.
So Paul's taking us there now. What's new, post process.
And then on the left, Paul, on the left in the middle is CalPADS SSID assignment.
And there's a video. So that should be a good spot for you. Okay. Question 2 from Jerry. My STAS question is in regards to showing excused absences for independent study only students who are on a pregnant parenting leave for up to 8 weeks. we would like to report that timeframe as excused per Flash 148.
Well, you don't have to count them as excused absences. You actually just exclude them, exclude those days from their expected attendance days. And that's completely appropriate per Flash 148, right? So you don't actually have to include that time as part of the days they were expected to attend because they were on maternity or paternity leave.
I think we got through all the question twos. At 3:55, Angela posted a follow-up to our question one. Is there a known issue log for CDDs not showing up on the certification error report? Oh yeah, we already talked about that. We're working on that now.
And it's not logged as a known issue. It was just functionality that had not been delivered yet. It was still in progress when we launched.
Oh, here's a question two from Alex. I'm not sure if my question one question was answered, and if it was, I'm not sure what I'm supposed to do.
She was at 3:13.
3:13. Oh, the GERV 005 error. So basically, if you've exited your students with an end date, and then you're trying to put a program participation in CalPADS with a date that's after that end date, you're going to get this GERV 5. It has to be within the enrollment period.
Well, if the enrollment's closed, even if it's within that enrollment period, I don't think it's going to allow it.
Okay, so what we're saying there is you may have to take out your end date, upload your program record, and then put the end date back.
That's not the desired behavior. Is that something?
Yeah, it would seem like you should be able to do it as
that
long as
new-
it's within it.
Is that new with is that a feature or a bug?
Great question.
Is it logged as a defect?
Nope.
You should be able to update a program record if it's within the bounds of your enrollment record.
That's what I thought.
And we had a bug on it, but it was fixed in June. And the first part of your question, Alex, is that you are not allowed to edit the membership code. We do that for you, so that's not going to help you. I'd say if you're trying to exit a program and it's within your enrollment history, the bounds of the enrollment, I'd say send in a ticket and we'll see what we could do for you.
Yeah, you should be able to do that. And right at 4 o'clock, Eric asks a question one, could it be possible to remove the SELPA approval for now?
Let Randy field that one.
You know, we're just going to have to kind of well, okay. Number one, end of year 4 and end of year 3 are the only ones that need sub-level approval. So whether or not we're going to waive that requirement will kind of come down to, you know, where we're at. So we can't make that decision right now. I mean, that's been made pretty clear to me, is that they're not ready to make those decisions at this point.
Okay, and it is 3 minutes after 4. So we're going to finish these last few questions. So no more questions after that.
I do have an update for Alex Miraz, though. I checked one of her errors, and looks like your program record is spanning 2 different schools. So that's why you're getting the error. It should have, it is school specific. So the first student I looked at, it was at Lake Center Middle and Lakeside Middle, and the program record spans both of those enrollment histories. So that's not correct. You need to fix your program dates so they align with your school enrollments.
Perfect. And so last question is from Mary. Does anyone know if Aries is starting to run an API to CalPADS? She saw something.
And Jan answered it down below saying, Aries has not yet received the additional information on how CalPADS API will be structured, so they've not been able to program against it yet.
There we go. And with that, we're going to call it quits for today. Thanks everyone for attending. I hope we were able to answer most of your questions. If not, go ahead and submit those tickets. We will be back again next Monday at 3 o'clock with office hours.
And
So
bon
thanks, everybody.
voyage to Cindy at Castaic. She's retiring, so this is her last Q&A. So best wishes.
Best wishes.
Couldn't be more timely.
I was going to say, take me with you.
It's all right.
All All right. Thanks,
All right,
everyone.
everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye.